all, and welcome to a Holly's Business Pharmacy. It is episode 18. It's our fourth series of bringing you the Holly's Pharmacies, and that is all thank you to Dell Technologies, who allow me to be here to talk about the important stuff. And my goodness, we've got a goodie today. Today is about, because actually, let's all just face the fact, it's a 360 of us. If we are the founders of our business, it means that we're normally the CEOs of our household. And guess what? It is a busy time of year. So this whole session, you would have seen my story, is about changing your life, because we are going to avoid conflict. And the reason we're going to be able to avoid conflict, and by the way, conflict in our professional lives, with our suppliers, with different people that we work with, and by the way, this is not just for now, it's forever. We're also going to be able to avoid conflict in our personal lives. And this is the biggie, because as we are the 360 of ourselves, it matters how we turn up. It matters how we read people. If we're going to have a bad morning with our other halves, it really does affect our work. And that means because we're just human and we are the Duracell battery of our companies. I've actually got my husband listening in on the background. He might do me a favour of just turning on the lights in here, because I've realised it's just a bit dark. So he'll just help me out here. So I want you to join me. I'd love you to tag people in, because if ever there is one to tag people in, it is today, because you are going to give them the gift of knowing humankind better. And that is a big statement, but it's the truth. Because actually we're going to learn from Sharon, who's joining us from the Coaching Academy. And the Coaching Academy is an amazing organisation. Do look them up. They're just incredible. We had this brilliant session at Holly&Co. And because I know about you lot, I just said, actually, can we help this community? They're not going to be able to do a coaching session one-to-one, but what we could do is have it right here. So we're going to learn by the end of this session about different personality types, the way that those different personality types react to stress. And most importantly, though, remember, we're meant to actually think before we respond. We are going to think about how we respond based on the fact we know, because we're smart now, about their personality type. And no exaggeration when I say this potentially is going to change your life. Because actually communication, when we think about it, is the success of everything we do. And it really hits home when you think about actually communication as a founder is the most paramount thing that you have. That is in your toolkit. No one can take that away. When you need to bring on a supplier who might be maybe not, thinking maybe I'll work with them, maybe I won't. It's your communication that helps you. When you're looking at talking to a bank manager about increasing your overdraft, that is your communication. If you need to raise money, it is going to be how you read that room of people and ultimately then chameleon yourself and turn that chameleon on and actually respond to what you're picking up in that room. And this is all based on something called DISC profiling, D-I-S-C profiling. And basically it means looking at your personality types. And I've spoken about it all during lockdown, if you remember. And there was that book, Surrounded by Idiots, one of the best books, but it's all about your red, your blue, your green, your yellow. I even think we went into this, and it was right in SME SOS. And I had some sheets that I printed out, and they were all backwards. So then I had to turn my camera around and do the entire thing backwards. I mean, that really was so stressful now I think about it. But what we're going to do is we're going to give you some insights into understanding if you're a red, blue, green and yellow. And then what we're going to do is give you the ability to pick up on signals around you looking at all of the people in your life, so be it professionally or be it in your personal life, okay? So good that we're having people join. Keep joining people, by the way. It's going to be an earth-shattering session today, because this is going to literally change your relationships with everybody in your life and with yourself. And I'm not exaggerating. So if you need someone to come and join, tag them right now. So we're going to understand ourselves better today. We're going to understand honing our communication skills and our social skills. We're going to handle conflict with confidence. We all hate conflict, but we're going to handle it with confidence, and we're going to improve dynamics within your team if you have a team, but we're also going to improve the dynamics of everybody at home as well. And you are going to have about 1,000 aha moments, yeah? The Oprah aha moments, they're coming your way, because ultimately you're going to understand potentially customers and the way that they write to you. You're going to understand team members and how they react to situations and stress. And you're going to understand suppliers and people that you work with, just generally, because they're going to give you a few signals. So, and the main thing here as well is, it is a busy time of year now. It is stressful. How do we understand our family better so we can try and avoid unnecessary conflict when this is the least thing that we need? Keep your comments coming in. I'm going to read them out. Stuff for You by Kirsty. I'm so ready for this. I am as well. Even though I don't know it, but I am obsessed by it, so I know it a little bit. Calm lettering. Hi, Holly. How is it December tomorrow? I'm just so happy and not happy it's December tomorrow. The Fashion Studio, I'm excited for this information. Self-development and communication. What is there not to love? Well, what there's not to love is that once you know all of this, by the way, it's on you to continue it. So once you, what I was told and what I say to you guys is once you know something, you cannot unknow it. So be careful what you wish you're going to know, how you could avoid tomorrow's conflict with your other half, and why your kids behave the way that they do. And it's going to take you to be the bigger person. So we're going to be joined by Sharon from the Coaching Academy, and she's going to come on now. And we're going to get stuck right in there because we've got a lot to cover. And she's just going to join now, hopefully. So she's probably hearing it, and probably a bit of her, I don't know what's coming out, her red, maybe a bit of red, maybe a bit of frustration to the phone that's not letting her get on there. She's probably got her yellow coming up because actually she wants to help you. Her blue, who's really trying to work out exactly, well, I did follow the instructions, but now it's not working. And that just does not compute. And your green would just be, I really wish that this would all work out, because we're going to have such a nice time here. So I've given you a little inkling into the colours there. And the Coaching Academy should be joining. And I'm not going to stress her blue out anymore. And we don't want to raise her red. Colour Wheel Garden. I'm worried what I'll discover about myself listening to this. Don't be worried, but do be ready. Get that notepad. While we're waiting for Sharon, get your notepad ready, because this is absolutely going to blow your mind. And I want you to firstly work out what you are in this session, okay? We're going to not quickly, but you're going to know. And by the way, you're not just one colour. You're a combination of all four colors, okay? So you're a combination of all four colors, but you'll probably have two dominant colors that are in your personality. Sunrise reflexology, perfect timing, Holly. I need this today. Well, we're going to ask Coaching Academy to come on again, and because it's going to be hard for me to do this session alone, but that's not going to happen, because the tech gods are going to say, that's not a problem, Holly. You want to get hold of Coaching Academy? It's just going to happen any minute now. So remember what we're going to be doing. And actually what happened was lovely Sharon came into our office and we got everybody together. And we basically did an entire session. There's 15 people in my team, and we all had to do a survey. And we then did the survey and we all got our results. And it was like this document. So we got the, we're not doing the Coaching Academy, Sharon. I thought we were joining the Coaching Academy. That's what I've got here. Is that not the right one? Sharon Lawton Personal. So we're going to do that. Hang on a second. Let's look at this. Sharon Lawton. Here we go. Oh dear. Okay, I'm going to ask Coaching Academy just to join one more time. There we are. You joined Coaching Academy. Okay, let's get you on here. So basically, we did this entire session and it was unbelievable. And I'm going to talk to you about now the way I communicate with my team, because now they sort of, here we go. Hi, we can't see you. There we go.
Oh, Holly, I'm here.
You're here. What colours did you feel doing that?
Big red at the moment. Big red. Yay, but yeah, I'm here.
There we go. The red did show. Now listen, this is just amazing. We cannot wait for this session. Do introduce yourself and then we're going to get stuck in.
Oh, thank you. So as Holly was saying, my name is Sharon Lawton. I'm head of training and business development here at the Coaching Academy. The Coaching Academy, we have the privilege here of training people to be professional coaches, but also really raising people's awareness of different coaching techniques and what we're talking about today, which is the power of personality in disc profiling. So I'm a professional coach as well, so my whole life in learning and development, and what we're going to share today is sort of the missing piece for me that I wish I'd found years ago.
Yeah, and you know what, everyone watching, you're finding it out now, so you are going to, oh, what, I can't wait. Okay, so Sharon, we're going to learn about the different personalities that we can, so that we can help live harmoniously together. And disc profiling, if you just, because we want to get right stuck in, what just, if you had to give it, you know, a quick little synopsis, what would it be?
Well, as I say, you know, being sort of a people-centric person, I've always found people fascinating. So I think when I came to work with you and your team, I described, you know, I'm the sort of person that loves just to people watch. You know, I sit in cafes and watch people, and I love the summer because I can wear my sunglasses and watch people behind my sunglasses. You know, that beautiful dance of rapport that you get when, you know, people interact with each other. So DISC is an acronym that describes the 4 different parts of our personality. And basically, it's a profiling tool that helps us to understand why people do and say the things that they do. So just to sort of explain that a little bit more in a nutshell, maybe some of your listeners today can really sort of respond to the fact that maybe they've met somebody for the first time, and just within seconds or minutes, they feel like they've known them for years and everything just sort of clicks and you have that lovely rapport. And then there are other people in their lives, could be their, you know, their family, it could be their friendship group, could be professionally with their clients, that they may have known for a really, really long time. But it doesn't matter how hard they try, they just clash more than they click. And they can't understand maybe why they do or say the things that they do, and maybe spending minutes with them feels like hours. And that's really what DISC helps us to understand. So it's a model of human behavior. It's a psychometric personality tool that really helps us to sort of understand and improve relationships and communication.
It's just well, and that's the thing, isn't it? This is actually the real deal. So this is actually profiling people. Now, we're not going to be able to do what we did as a team today, but what we are going to be able to share is, let's look at the overview of the different colors. Now, this is where everyone get your pens and papers ready, because basically, I was just saying, correct me if I'm wrong, you're the expert. Probably we all have all 4 colors, don't we? But probably we can pick up a couple of dominant colors that might be in our personality today.
Yeah, most definitely. So the great thing about DISC is there are lots of psychometric profiling tools, but the thing that I love about DISC is it's simple without being simplistic. So it's based on observable behavior and communication preferences, which makes it so brilliant to sort of talk about today. So we are a blend of all of the 4 colours, but there, generally speaking, is a couple that we will recognise probably a little bit more than the others. So you're absolutely right, Holly.
Right, so everyone, we're going to try and find our 2 colours, okay? And then I can't wait for you all to tell me what your 2 colours are. Right, so let's start with red. Sharon, what does red mean?
Brilliant. Okay, so red. So maybe you can bring to mind somebody who is very outgoing and fast-paced, and they're focused on making it happen. So what I love about DISC is there's some brilliant describing words that start with sort of the same letter. So we can recognise the red energy by someone being quite dominant in their environment. They like to take charge. They like to meet challenges head on and not wait for the challenge or the problem to come to them. They will go to it. So they'll grab hold of it, pull it forward, sort out the problem or the issue, throw it over their shoulder and move on. So really driven for success, driven to get the task done, and can be quite determined and decisive in their actions. Somebody who really doesn't give up easily. Now, communication, you were talking a lot about communication when I was frustratedly trying to get on. And so their communication style can be perceived to be quite direct. So if you're going to interact with the sort of red energy, my tip would be bold, be brief, and then be gone. You know, sort of like just say what you've got to say. Don't waffle. You know, you probably from customers won't see loads of emojis because it's very much fast-paced, but sort of more about the task and getting the task done. So if they had a little strap line, it would be, let's do it now. Let's focus on getting it and making it happen.
Yeah, and that's in it. And, you know, I know you all know I might have a bit of red of me, funny enough, but the thing also I would say is like people might take it personally, their communication style. And we're going to talk about communication style, and we're going to go through the colors, but actually that's one of the things where that directness isn't rudeness. That directness is determination to the task. And actually, they've not even got their own personal feelings involved. Actually, they're just looking at the task. So tell me about yellow then. The almost what I like to look at it as there is a sunbeam almost there.
Yeah, absolutely. So if your listeners now, your community that are listening in, if you draw a little circle on your page and divide that circle up into two quarters, we've just looked at the red energy, which is on the top left hand side. So that is outgoing, active, fast-paced, but sort of a preference towards the task and the logic. So this time we're going to look at the yellow energy, and that is top right-hand side. So still really fast-paced and outgoing, but this time the priority is all around people and feelings and emotions. So we can recognize the yellow energy because these are the type of people who are really interested in other people. I call them touch sensitive. So if you're standing in Sainsbury's, obviously there are lots of other shops as well, but if you're standing in, you know, sort of a supermarket or a queue and you're standing maybe a little bit close to them, it's almost like you switch them on. They can't not talk to you, you know, so they'll say, oh, so you've been to that shop as well. Oh, have you seen that lovely local little independent bakery down the road? You want to try it out? Oh, by the way, love your shoes. You know, that type of thing, full of energy. You can recognize them because they want to sort of leave you with a lovely, warm, fuzzy feeling of, oh, I wish all of my customers were like that, you know, that type of thing. So again, lots of describing words, influencing, great influencing skills. They think they can talk their way into or out of any situation. Very interactive, as I say, you know, lots of sort of hand gestures and facial gestures. Guess what colour is high in me? Informal, so they'll want to break down those formal barriers and be on first name terms with you. And very imaginative, so they're very sort of creative. However, all of the colours have a little bit of a blind spot. The blind spot for the yellow is a little bit like attention to detail. So in the rush to get something done and move on, because they can get bored a little bit quickly, they might sort of not pay attention to the detail, and it's on to the next thing and on to sort of the next thing. So where we had a strap line for the red energy, this one is all around, okay, let's have fun doing it. I don't mind what we're doing, but let's have fun while we're doing it. So great communicators are our eye energies, our yellow energies.
And people are trying to work out what I am. Yes, I am a nice yellow dose there as well. But the interesting thing when we get into all of this is that you have different sort of makeups in different situations. So you have a makeup in your professional life, and makeup in your personal life, and a makeup in stress. And today we're going to try and concentrate on stress, because this session is all about trying to get through the season with dealing with things. And so well, we're going to talk about this next color. In my stress, my yellow comes down and my green comes in. So tell me about the green.
So the green energy, again, if you're looking at your circle, this time bottom right hand side, lovely green energy. And so it's people, but this time a little bit more reserved. So a very thoughtful inner world, sort of a steadier pace, if you like. And when we look at or we interact with sort of very green energy people, they are incredibly supportive, sensitive, sentimental people. And I would say of all of the colours, this colour has the biggest heart. It's almost like they feel other people's pain intently, you know, and they wear their hearts on their sleeve a little bit more as well, and have a server's heart. And it's all about doing things together. So it's about the team, you know. And sometimes what we see with that green energy is that they will, because of the server's heart, they will put other people's needs before their own, sometimes to their own detriment, because of that that need to want to serve and support. They might find it quite difficult to say no, particularly maybe to the red and the yellow energies, who are a little bit more sort of faster paced and active.
And I like to think of green because it helps me. Like the red obviously is like, I feel like a dartboard is a red, and the yellow is a sunshine, and you've got green. I like to think of nature and that calming effect, and wanting everything to be at peace and at one, and they're not going to be in your face at all. They're going to be back. They're not going to be sitting, you know, if you had a team scenario, they're definitely not going to be putting their hands up first. You know, they're just looking around and checking everybody out. They're
totally right, because they don't want to be in the spotlight, Holly, whereas our sort of our red and yellow energies are very happy to be in the spotlight, particularly the yellow energy. You know, they love to be in the spotlight. But you know, our green energies are very happy operating behind the scenes and supporting everybody and serving. Brilliant listeners, by the way.
Brilliant listeners. Another colour, the last colour, who also wouldn't be putting themselves forward in that team scenario is blue. Tell us about blue.
Now our lovely blue energies. Maybe you know somebody, or maybe you recognise this in yourselves, someone who has the ability to understand and work with great technical detail. So again, looking at the circle, this is bottom left. So again, thoughtful, reserved, steadier pace, but now we're going back to focusing on logic and task as a priority. So these people are thoughtful in all activities. They love detailed tasks. So again, if we think about describing words, we might say they're sort of cautious in their approach. So they like to measure twice and cut once. Yes. Compliant, but I don't mean sort of compliant in everything that they do, but that sort of compliance element in making sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Careful in everything they do, consistent, as I say, focused on quality information, rules, systems, procedures. Rules make it safe. And if they're going to do something, the strapline will say, let's do it correctly.
Let's do it correctly. And that is actually that blue energy that a lot of us do need. And potentially when we talk about this community and how we get fearful of certain areas, I would say mostly we're fearful of our blue areas, you know, these areas where the detail absolutely matters. Because of course, we're also talking to a highly creative group of people where probably these yellows and greens are at the forefront. I'm going to read out a load of comments because they're coming in thick and fast. And then I'm going to talk to you about asking you which color, what does each color show up as stress? How do you know a red is stressed? How do you know a green is stressed? Because I think that is the key, isn't it, for us to identify, that's a green stress I'm seeing here. This is how I'm going to handle it. Color Wheel Garden, got the notebook to hand. Coaching Catalyst community, yes, DISC is a game changer. Mandy Manners Coach, I trained with Sharon on DISC. So interesting. Sparkles Eco Shop, I love learning about personality profiling and how we can all work together. Fenton Yard Flowers, cannot wait to hear this. This is fascinating stuff. Colour Wheel Garden, yes, I get the click and clash thing. I feel like I can get on with lots of people on the outside, but sometimes internally I feel so out of place, like a peach surrounded by apples. Our mindful children, this is so interesting. Popsy Clunk, this is so useful in terms of dealing with customer interactions. Stuff by Kirsty. I've always been told you can talk to anyone, but assumed that this was just a northerner in me. Holly Cottage Studio, I'm a yellow. I do skip the details. Colour Wheel Garden, I'm definitely a strong yellow too. And Sling Me Bobs, oh goodness, this really is me. I am such a people pleaser. I sometimes think this is my downfall though, but it's because I care so much about what other people are feeling. That's a green, coming in there. So tell me, Sharon, let's talk about the red. How does a red show up stressed? And then what would our response be to try and help that red?
Okay, fantastic. So remember, with all of this, we have a little bit of all of it in all of us, but one or two, sometimes three, we might recognize a little bit more. So the trick is always to know that it's not personal. This is always about other people's preferences. And what happens is we tend to communicate and behave in our own preferences. We communicate in the way that we expect others to communicate. We just expect everybody to be the same. So to be a master communicator in your work, with your customers, with your suppliers, with your family, friendship groups, you know, whomever it is that you're interacting with, it's about remembering this is just a preference, and we can step back and know that it's not personal. It's not personal. So the trick is to recognize it and meet people where they are. So how we recognize that, Holly, is it's almost like, think about a volume control. So I've given a tiny précis of each of the colors, and under stress or sort of in a challenge situation, it's almost like the volume control goes up.
Yeah.
And so we can, it intensifies. It's all about the intensity. So the red energy, what we can generally see is in a sort of a challenge or stressful situation, the response will be very direct and to the point. Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes can be perceived as being blunt, you know, to that sort of rudeness. Now remember, it's not personal. It's often a blind spot, and you know, if you're not aware of it, then how can you change? And self-awareness is all about, okay, I'm aware of that now, so let me try and do something about it. Maybe a bit more sort of short and to the point, impatient, wanting to get it done quickly. And again, the more sensitive types might perceive that to be quite aggressive. In sort of the, you know, getting it done and getting the decision making, and let's not fluff about with all of that stuff. Let's just get it done and get it moving. So that's what we can often see in the red.
So as a bit of a red, and I was going to give the example. I was after our session, and we all got given our colours, and then I have such a beautiful team that they were happy to share their colours with the rest of the team, so that we could all understand each individual, and then talked about stress and how that might show up. And it was an amazing thing, something that you do, because you're really exposing yourself there, because maybe you want to be another color and you're not, and now all your colleagues know, and all this sort of stuff. So it was really something that worked for me. Was I basically said to the team, we're going into some quite choppy waters at the moment in my company. And I said, listen, I just wanted to let you know, I had a couple of meetings and I thought to myself, I was just quite to the point there to a couple of green people, okay? And I wanted to let them know that it wasn't personal. So I sent a WhatsApp group to the whole team, and I did say, you're going to see my red coming through at the moment. It is not personal. I've got a lot on, and a lot on my brain, and it's almost impossible what I'm trying to achieve. So my red's going to fire up, and you just need to, if you can, just be so succinct in your answers back and just get right to the point, because I'm almost just needing that information to move on. And what was so liberating was I then knew that I didn't have to sort of précis every conversation with, I'm pretty stressed right now, but also they could just know, oh, this is just the way to interact with her. Just give her what she needs. And actually that's going to help her so much, because that's what they wanted to do. So I just think that that's quite a good tip from a personal point of view of how to deal with a red. It is just not to take it personally, but they're very the task is the only thing in my brain. It's almost like everything else switches off, which is, I don't know, good or bad, but it gets shit done, that's for sure.
That's who we are, that's our personality makeup. But again, being aware of that really helps us to ensure that we are not unnecessarily upsetting other people around us without realizing. I mean, here at the Coaching Academy, we obviously we are steeped in conversations around the profiling, and one team member here that I particularly work with, we have different blends, so sort of the opposite side of the spectrum. And I had we were going through some stuff. It was quite sort of stressful yesterday, and we give each other permission to be able to challenge. And so that particular team member was able to message me and say, actually, I felt that your red energy was really up high. I love your I energy, but sometimes the D is quite high, like it was today. And and I've said, brilliant, okay, that let me know, and then I can step that back. So when we're able to have these conversations and have that awareness within teams, within family groups, then we're able to reportedly challenge and say, "Way, your red's up a little bit today," and then that sometimes gives them a chance to say, "Oh, okay, sorry about that. Hadn't realised. Let me dial that down."
So
because it's not an excuse for poor behaviour, Holly, is it? It's about us communicating well.
We're not saying this actually, because actually we're talking about this with love and peace and harmony in mind. But my son now, talk about, because he's got a red energy, and I'm like, listen, this is not going to be a red on red conversation. So we just now get around it by talking about our disc profiling. Tell me about yellow and how that will show up stress. So a lot of people here, I'm thinking, are saying that they're yellow. So how will they show up, and what is a good way of dealing with a yellow who's stressed?
Okay, brilliant. So yellow, again, remember, it's all about intensity. So everything I described earlier, is intensified. But what we often see is the sort of using the verbal persuasion skills to talk people around or win them over. So, why say 2 words when you can say 25? That type of thing. Yeah. And a little bit of a drama. So, if they are on board, then it will be the best thing ever, and they'll be using their influential skills to get them on board. But equally, if they're stressed and they disagree, we might sort of see the opposite. So a little bit of drama, using their sort of verbal persuasion skills to really speak people around. That fast pace, maybe even more of a lack of attention to detail. So I'll give you a quick example, if that's okay. So my partner has a high blue energy, and as I've already explained, mine's more sort of yellow red. Writing Christmas cards, Holly, is a task to me. I'd rather say Happy Christmas to people face to face. So I'll rush it. And so, because I'm rushing it, trying to get it out of the way, there'll be mistakes on the envelope. And he'll say, Sharon, you've made a mistake on the address. And I go, like, Mark, it's just an envelope. It doesn't matter. And he'll say, it does matter. You need to do it again. Listen to this task. Is a blue, red. You need to do it properly. Otherwise, don't do it at all. Because if you can't get people's names right and addresses right, then, what on earth are they going to think? So, it's quite interesting. And I'm like, rush it, get out of the way. So what? It doesn't matter. So we can see that type of thing happening. So
that's
on the
your yellow being high and his blue, and then telling you what to do, the red coming through. So tell me about, I'm going to read out a couple more comments. Sparkles Eco Shop, thank you so much for this today. It is super interesting. Tribe Yarns Live, I am the definition of red, and the hubby is my blue. So blue. Don't know what I'm going to do without him. I don't know what I do without him. He's not going anywhere. Tribe Yarns Life. I don't know anything. Sorry about that. Our mindful children all sounds amazing. Stuff for by Kirsty. Sat here nodding. Louise Emily Art. I'm yellow red. I did this back in the corporate world, and it was so useful. We all put our colours on our email signatures so that we. Oh my God, new people knew how to meet us in the middle. My gosh, that is pretty full on. Colour Wheel Garden, I get the red stress, guilty of being impatient with myself and wanting things done yesterday. I've got a question coming in, but let's go to green. How do green even get, of course they get stressed, but how do they turn up? Do they go quieter?
Yeah, so again, so we can see that intensity of the different colours. So we see the intensity of the pace in the red and the yellow energy is faster. So in the green energy, the intensity of the pace, remember, it's more reserved and thoughtful and steadier. So it's slowing the pace under sort of stress and challenge. And whereas our yellow energy, as I said before, can be sort of quite dramatic, the green energy will sort of internalize. So with withdrawal, internalizing of feelings, tendency to sort of slow down that pace, and in so maybe quite a direct sort of pressurized or stressful situation, might even demonstrate signs of what we might know as, it's all about perception at the end of the day, sort of passive aggressive, or more sort of stubborn. Not passive aggressive, passive resistance, I think, is a better explanation. So it might be that, they're being told by a family member or a friend, or, whatever it might be, that something's going to change, and they're feeling quite stressed and pressurized by it. So externally, because remember, the server's heart wants to serve, people please, sort of, yes, and nodding. And internally, they're thinking, well, I'm not going to do that. So what I'll do is I'll just lay quiet, lay low, and in the hope that actually they might forget. It'll all blow over, and then everything will be back to how it was.
Because I'm related to a high green, I can say this, stubborn. That's what you can also feel, right? You can just go, wow, you are the most stubborn person that I know. I was just trying to help this, and it's their panic goes up, and so they almost try and shun the whole thing, and comes down, it comes down, and actually it's not them trying to be stubborn, it's they just want to avoid it. That's the sort of thing. So they come across as stubborn. I'm well versed in the old green.
And I would say, Holly, definitely, often what's misunderstood about green energy is that people mistake kindness for weakness. Never ever mistake kindness for weakness, because if necessary, and you said about a family member, if necessary, they might not necessarily stand up for themselves, but goodness me, they will stand up for someone whom they love if they feel that they have been, sort of disrespected or hurt in some way.
My greens are the most ferocious when it comes to it. Do you know what I mean? That they're mother lions, or that energy will come out, and it's just so brilliant to see, because it's normally so quiet, and then suddenly it will happen. It's fantastic. I always say, unleash your green, unleash it. But anyway, so it's a bit of an in-disc joke. Right, blue. Tell me about blue when they're stressed.
Right, so that lovely blue energy. So remembering all of the describing words and everything that I said before, the volume is going to be turned up and intensified. We're going to see more of that. So slowing down the pace, more reserved and thoughtful, but this time it's all about the detail. So facts, logic will do the talking. They will do research. It's almost paralysis by analysis. So, you know, they will be getting all of their facts and their data and the information absolutely right before they might make any decision. Certainly, if you're in a conflict situation with someone who is a blue, just make sure you've got all of your facts correct.
Yeah, don't bother unless you've done the research, everybody, because they will floor you because they would have done the research.
Absolutely spot on. You know, if you're in a team environment, you know, they will have the email trail. You know, sort of, well, this time on this day, you know.
This is the thing, and I know that blue energy, and I'm sure all of us know people that do this, right? They literally say, so you're doing the whole thing, you're doing the thing, and I think you said, you know, blah, 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 and they say, well, I didn't say that. And you're like, no, you definitely did say that. And then they go, hang on a minute, what date did you say that was? And I'm like, no, we don't need to go and check it. No, we do need to go and check it. What day did you say? And they literally go and find it. And I'm like, couldn't we just go with the flow of this conversation? They're like, no, because you just told me I said something I didn't. Oh, and look, I didn't say it. And you're like, right, well, great. Now we've established that. And do you know what I mean? So I think a lot of people will be recognizing this blue energy, and it is one of those things that you do have to be careful going into conflict with a blue if you're not a blue yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Check your facts. I mean, my husband, for example, you know, if we're having a disagreement about something, he'll bring up something that we spoke about, you know, months ago, and I've forgotten about it. It's like, did I say that? No, I'm sure I didn't. Yes, you did. You did.
It's too funny. Now, listen, loads of people are like writing in saying what they are. This is helping so many people. Slinger me bobs, I'm green. I definitely go quiet and into myself when I'm stressed. Popsy Clunk, I've realized how useful this is as as a mum too, as my two daughters have such different characters, and this is really helping me show how I should communicate with them. And Tiny Theatre, I'm definitely red and yellow. Some of my closest friends are green and blue, and I struggle with it a lot. It is a really interesting thing. And, you know, in my household, I've got blue and green going on, and blue and green, and I'm a red and yellow. So instantly, you're just all coming at things in a different way. Now, luckily, I've been able to do disc profiling with my husband and my son. We know that this is the face. My son is really interested in it. So we can talk about that our reds are going to clash. Or when they do my head in, asking me about every single detail about everything. And I'm literally going, listen, I'm turning up at the airport tomorrow and I'll work out where I'm going the night before. And they have researched the menu of the places that we're going, let's just say. I don't understand this. I just do not understand. Why would you need so much detail? What a waste of time to have so much detail. Let's just go and experience life. Like, let's go with the flow. And then I have to remind myself, blue doesn't go with the flow. Blue needs to know the coordinates of the flow. So if I want to avoid conflict, and which is what I'm going to do our next holiday, believe you me, I'm going to actually give them everything that we're going to do exactly and say, this is all of the detail I have. You don't need to ask me about it because it's not important to me now. Like, it's done. I've booked it. It's done. So I'm giving you these examples, everyone, because I'm sure lots of you are finding it in your own households. This is the thing that can happen, but it can also happen in your work life, right? So you've got a team, a small team, knowing that your person that you work with is a high yellow and you're a high red or a high blue, there will be conflict at some point in time, and it's about managing it. Do you think that it's taking a pause before you react is a really important thing.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, Holly, because, you know, when we are stressed, we're responding from the emotional part of our brain. So, you know, it's almost like an instinctive reaction. Whereas tools like this and taking a breath before we respond just allows us really to be able to think before we respond. Now, when we think before we respond, we can then respond rather than react. When we react, we're emotional. So that way we can go, right, okay, so the person with the most flexible behavior, you know, sort of controls the outcome of an interaction, right? So that allows us to think, right, knowing what I know about this person, how do they like to receive information? How are they most likely to behave? So, you know, all of my members of my family, different colours, and I won't name them just in case they're listening, but, you know, I will know if somebody in my family is being quite direct and dominant with me. I love them to bits, and it really irritates me that they're trying to boss me about, so-called, but I know that's their red energy. And it's all about the needs-driven part of our personality. And if we can understand that, we can, as I said right at the beginning, understand that it's not personal. You know, it is just part of whom they are. So if we want to connect, if we want to get the best out of that interaction with our clients, with our customers, you know, whatever it might be, is to think, right, okay, so what energy, what colour do we think they are? And then think like that colour. And so if we're going in with a red, bullet points, direct. If we're going in with the yellow, you know, make it informal and interactive. You know, if we're going in with the green, steady your pace, slow it down, you know, really be interested in them and supportive in your communication style. If you're going in with the blue, get your facts right, you know, because like it or not, you know, first impressions, you never get a chance to make a second first impression. So, you know, make sure you've dotted those I's, you've crossed those T's, you know, read it 3 times. Don't do what I do your proofreading after you've pressed send. You know, do your proofreading, make sure it's right. And then, you know, we can not understand what other people need. We can meet people where they are. And to me, that is the gift that we can really give ourselves and others.
It's too funny. I just love this. My Frankly Food has just joined. That's my husband. I'm a blue-green mix, and I'm just wondering when he joined, because in case he just heard about my whole holiday thing. But anyway, there we go. Darling, I'm going to give you the itinerary. I'm going to help your blue, and that will just then lay off my yellow, okay, when we go away again. Louise Emily Art, I had to convince our highly blue CFO, which is it's a normal high colored when it comes to finance people, to invest in my project. And it was so stressful. I spent a week revising the stats. As a yellow, it was completely exhausting. They have memories like elephants. They do. And then nlb.co, very interesting and informative. I've got a few questions here. I was going to say that actually I also think greens are very delicate. I think you've got to be quite delicate if you think of nature. And I wanted to ask you if you just quickly had to tell the book Surrounded by Idiots, at the back, it's got a great thing about emails. So red email, what will that feel like?
So bullet points. Stick to the facts, don't waffle, say what you need to say. As I say, be bold, be brief, be gone.
Yeah, and so if you get an email like that, say it's a red that's just emailed you. It's not personal. They've literally gone, hi, I need this, thanks, H. That's it. What would be a yellow email?
Oh, very sort of chatty, very sort of informal, maybe lots of emojis and humour. Maybe a few spelling mistakes.
Yeah.
If you get it from them, probably lots of detail. But if you're sending to them, probably don't put loads of detail in it, because they won't read it.
Yeah, they won't read it.
As the same with the red.
Yeah, because they're almost like chatting. They're writing their chat that's coming through the email. What would a green email look like?
So green, again, not too detailed, but very supportive and friendly, you know, show a genuine interest in them, you know, so sort of ask those sort of questions. If you know about their, you know, their family or maybe a project they've been working on, you know, ask those genuine questions, be interested in them as a person. So again, very supportive and friendly, yeah, and how you can work together.
And then the funniest one is a blue email, which is, it's like, avoid the waffle at all costs, yeah? And is it evidence, facts, and to the point? Is it still to the point, isn't it?
Still to the point, because remember, it's about the task and the logic. That's their sort of priority. But this time, rather than with the red, it's the logic and the task, but bullet points and be brief. This time, you know, if you want to win them over, the detail, the analysis, the facts, because they'll need all of that to make a decision.
Attaching your research, attaching your thing. It's a longer one, isn't it? It's definitely a longer one. And it might have bullet points, but loads more words than the red one. That's
much more detail, Holly. Much more detail.
Much more detail. The twiggy tree, so interesting. This is making so much sense. Sparkle's Eco Shop. I heard people make 90% judgments in the first 90 seconds of meeting people. My God. Right. 3 questions. I'm going to Annika Rice you. They're going to be like quick fires here. The rose press garden. There's my red. It's also the timing, because we only have 8 minutes. So it's the red and the timing. The rose press garden. Do you have any advice for how to benefit from the colours when working alone?
Okay, so I would say very quickly, depends on whom you are interacting with, and dial up that colour to ensure that you build rapport much quicker. Someone said to me once, it's brilliant, that the colours, disc, you know, whatever you want to call it, the colours build rapport to open the door to good communication and interaction. So think about what you might need to dial down when you are interacting with your client, and dial up something that you think the client might be.
Yeah, so try and match the colours, not in a conflict way, red on red. Try and match those things. So if you're meeting a red, you sort of need to dial. Don't use 25 words when you can use
meet them where they are, for sure.
Meet them where they are. Another question, colour wheel garden. Any recommendations for inner colour battles? My impatient red side and my waffly yellow side sometimes lead to eternal frustration with myself.
I'd just say, you know, be kind to yourself, because this is a strength-based tool, and depending on what environment you are, then there will be different colours that will be needed at different times. You know, we're a little bit of all of them. It's about, you know, being comfortable with that, and there will be times where we just say, oh, that's my yellow energy. I just need to just sort of park that for a bit and just focus on the red energy. But remember, the colours make you who you are. And we don't want to change who we are, because who we are is the right colour. You know, it's just about interacting with others at that particular time.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that we were all feeling when we did it as a group. You know, some of us were cringing, you know, about our colours. And actually, that was the whole point. The whole point was we adore who we're working with. So whatever your colours are, it's their strength. It's not a weakness. It's about learning about each other so we can communicate. Popsy Clunk is a great question. And it's one that we spoke about, Sharon, I know, when we met. It's a big question. What creates the different coloured energy, nurture or nature?
That's a really interesting one, and probably in the time that we've got is probably not going to be able to answer it. Briefly, the colours are just one proportion of whom we are. So our personality is formed of so many different things, nature and nurture, our environment, our role models, our life experiences, and disc, which is our sort of internal wiring. And remember, our colours, disc colours can change depending on what environment that we're in. And of course, you know, work is different to home, is different to sort of challenge and stress. So yeah, there's not a quick answer to that one. It's a bit deeper. Popsy
Clunk, what Sharon said to us when we were doing it, as you said, it's like there's like 4 or 5 things that go into making us. And then this is just one bit of it, which, as you said, is the internal wiring. But like how you've been brought up and your history and your DNA and all of these things come together. But this is almost the coping mechanism of once you're cooked. It's almost like once you're baked and you're out there, this is the thing that we're reading all the time. This is that bit of it. Now, tell me, Sharon, if people want to get involved with the Coaching Academy, how can they do that?
Wonderful. Well, they can find us on all of the social channels. So obviously I'm joining you on Instagram. We also hang out over on LinkedIn and Facebook. And we do obviously courses on all of this stuff, both in the workplace, you know, for teams, you know, sort of similar to yourselves, Holly, and also open courses where people can come along and learn all about it. And you can find out more information about that on our website, which is the-coaching-academy.com, and come and join us on a DISC certification.
Brilliant. And for everyone in small businesses who might not have bigger, you know, obviously we spent a bit more money because we did it personally just with our team. There are like group sessions where you can just join in and just buy your slot. So I can't recommend it enough, team. You guys need to do it. Absolutely. Sharon, bless you for joining us today. I'm going to let you go. I know we're going to work again together, but thank you for your time today. It means the world.
You're very welcome. I hope it's been helpful to all of the team.
Oh my gosh, it's been life-changing. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. That is what we're talking about, and now you know all this information. You can't unknow it. So tonight, when you see your other halves, or you have your family around at the weekend, or when your kids come home, think about what colors they are. If you've got a team right now, go make a cup of tea and look around and think, that is definitely a blue. That's why this is happening. Have those light bulb moments. Now, I'm going to ask you to do one thing. I'm going to ask you to keep voting for the independent awards, where it's the People Choice Award winner. If you have not voted for anybody yet, head over to holly.co and I want you to vote. They are the most magnificent people out there, and they still need your votes. Also, remember, it's the best Christmas shopping list you're ever going to get. So it's going to help you enormously. Also, if you want to actually look about Christmas and what I've been shopping, what I've been doing this Christmas and all of these sorts of things. And by the way, I have had the best time, because this group of people are the best people ever. Head over to holly.co and go to my Christmas gift guides. The one I want you to pay attention to is well, actually pay attention to all of them. They are just, we have put a lot of work into them, and I think it's going to really, really help you. Sparkles Eco Shop, love that. Being kind to yourself. We're all unique and incredible. Colour Wheel Garden, thank you so much. This has been so helpful. Definitely go to check out the website. Rocking Felter, thank you so much. Sparkles Eco Shop, thank you so much for today. It's much appreciated. I can't see where to vote for the People's Choice Award, Holly. Is it their original category? Yes. Just head over to the original things and just cast your vote, because basically we're now counting. It's nothing separate. We're counting all of those votes. So just vote away normally, and that's now going to count for the People's Choice Award. Dell, thank you. Dell Technologies, thank you so much for this session today. It literally is life-changing, and without your support, I'm unable to do these things. And so thank you. And thank you everyone for joining me. I hope literally there's light bulbs all over the country going off tonight, and take care of yourselves.